Hello, everyone. Chrissy's back. I'm back too. My name's Grant. That's Crystal Scuor. How you doing, Chrissy?
I am amazing. Today's a beautiful day. I'm feeling good. I got my coffee in me. I'm pumped.
That's nice. Last time you were on the show, you were in Toronto. Now you're back in Vancouver on the West Coast, and life is better, right?
Life is so much better. West Coast,
Life is
West
so
Coast.
much better. And the season is back on. It looked for a while like the Niners season was over. And I bring you on as you're a journalist, but you're also like the team fan. I mean, you're the most fan of the fans on the fan of this group. And so I bring you on to sort of gauge how the fans feel. And it feels like to me like Niner fans we're out on the season. Like, I don't want this. This is too painful. I'm out. I want to think about next season, and I want to think about hope.
Yeah.
And now like Nick Mullens and Deebo Samuel has kind of drawn you back in. And what I'm asking you now is, since the season isn't over and you have to watch and you have to be emotionally involved, honestly, how confident are you that the 49ers will make the playoffs?
Okay, so I'm going to get into how I'm actually feeling in a second about it. But if we look at it based on stats and everything, and I'm not the stats girl. I've gone on about this before, and people always rip me on the numbers. I've never been good at math, so don't hate me for saying this kind of stuff. But this past weekend, after we beat the Rams, apparently our chances of making it to the playoffs have gone up by 11%. This is what the New York Times has said. So
Wow.
that gives, just to give you guys some perspective, that means that the Niners have a 27% chance of potentially making it to playoffs, which honestly, that's a pretty big piece of the pie. I was looking at it, I'm like, okay, that's
Say it again. What percent is it? What percent?
27.
And the week before it was 16. Not bad.
So
Not
they went
bad.
up 11% just from sweeping those Rams, which felt really good. And I know that felt really great for all the fans around here. And so
Real quick. Chrissy has "feels great, baby" tattooed on her leg. That's the context here. So when she says "feels great," it's an inside joke. And the context here is Chrissy was so inspired and confident last year about Jimmy Garoppolo down the stretch that she got "feels great, baby" tattooed on her. So that's the backdrop of this conversation. Chrissy, keep going.
yes. Okay. So that version of myself, sometimes I find myself wanting, before this past weekend's game, I wanted to hide that tattoo. I wanted to get some makeup covered up. And like, obviously it's winter now, so I'm not wearing my little short shorts so nobody can see it. So that's a good thing. But okay, on the whole scheme of things, if you're looking at percentage wise, okay, it looks good. But I'm not the kind of person that looks at numbers. I'm not the statistical person. I'm the type of person that's more of hope and a prayer kind of girl. So it's funny that you said that about hope. I mean, I watch the games and I base it on how I feel. And this past weekend, I finally felt something again. And so just that little spark, just that little skimming, okay, 23-20 is not the best win ever. Of course, there were mistakes and everything. And I wrote about this in my article too. But that level of confidence that I felt last year is nowhere to be found right now, but it's starting to poke its little head back. And so
like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, he's saying hello. He's like, you know what? I'm still here, you know? And so I am feeling like, okay, we're the misfit toys. We're banged up. And I'm saying this because I love Christmas and Christmas is coming. And we're the banged up misfit toys. And there are still kids that want to play with us. You know, I'm this fan that's also a journalist, but I know there are a lot of fans out there that hold on to the team way more when there are the wins. But I think there's something when you hold on to them when they're the losses. And until that percentage is at zero, I'm still 100% confident that we are going to make it to the playoffs.
Well, I admire that. But let me push a little bit. Let me stick with this for a second. It seems to me that you and a lot of Niner fans really, really believe in Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, I mean, you got that tattooed on you. I mean, there's something inspirational about him that like transcends football. There is something about Jimmy that is easy to follow. He's a natural leader. There's something about him. And if he were the quarterback right now and he were healthy and all the players that are coming back, I think Niner fans would be like really confident. All over Twitter, like, watch out, here we come. No one wants to face us. But Jimmy's not there. It's Mullens. And I think there's something about Mullens that Niner fans are really apprehensive about. And that's like putting it mildly. I think a lot of Niner fans like can't stand him. And I'm not saying you can't stand him, but there is just a different level of confidence that one produces than the other. And I mean, part of it could be the win-loss record. I mean, Jimmy's got a really great record and Nick doesn't.
Yeah.
What else? Are there other things? Because usually in things like this, it's a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so this is something I was just First off, I have nothing against Nick Mullens. I think that, when he came out and he had that game that he tied Montana's record and everything, I was like, wow, look at this kid go. And I resonate with him a lot because I feel like he has so much pressure on him. And we've all been there. We've all been that person that has been called up to fill in for somebody, whatever it means, with our job, with sports, with whatever. We've all been the Nick Mullens. And some of us rise to the occasion and have that confidence, and some of us don't. And I think some of it does come down to not the wins, but the games that you play in. And so, and even the games that you sit behind and watch. And so I look at Jimmy Garoppolo, and when he came into the 49ers organization, he was coming from watching Tom Brady. He sat behind Tom Brady. He came in and he was supposed to be our savior, our warrior, our everything. And then that season that he was our first starter, he went out in week 3, gone, right? And so then it was this flip-flop mashup of Nick Mullens, CJ Beathard, whatever, right? Like nearly Kyle Shanahan getting in there. We didn't know what was going on that season. It was not a good season. And so that was not a confidence-building season for Nick Mullens. He had that game against the Raiders. He was pumped up afterwards, whatever. But it wasn't a consistent feeling of confidence. And I feel that Jimmy, once he got back from his injury, when he finally got out there and he was fully healthy, look at what happened. After that 8-0 run, it was 8-0. How's it feel? Aaron Andrews on the sideline. Feels great, baby. And it did feel great. And it looked great. And he was smiling. And we've talked about his smile a lot. We have. So I don't think that Nick Mullens has been set up in the same way that Jimmy Garoppolo was. Now, I'm not saying that Nick Mullens needs to get the start somewhere and he needs to be injured and all that needs to happen in order for him to go on a run like Jimmy did. I'm just saying that when you have to overcome some kind of adversity like that, when you have to step onto the field and prove to everybody, look, I know I was injured last year, but now I'm really going to take this team and I'm going to put it on my back. He did do that. And I know it wasn't just Jimmy Garoppolo, but Nick Mullens hasn't had that chance to do that. He got tossed in there after potentially thinking, I'm not going to play all season, right? So that's a lot of pressure to handle. And he's going through the motions right now. He's, figuring out what strengths he has with certain players. And now that certain players are coming back onto the field, he will begin to gain that confidence. And I do think that we'll see, not a Jimmy Garoppolo out there, but we'll see a version of Nick Mullens that we're proud to call as our starting quarterback this year.
You mentioned the injury. That's an interesting factor. The sympathy about his injuries and his rehab. He's missed a lot of time. I hadn't factored that in. I think that is part of it. Niner fans empathize with Jimmy. He's been hurt and he came back, and he has shown toughness. He's played injured. He's gone through a lot. Easy to rally behind that and root for it. Also, you mentioned his smile. I think there's something about he's likable. He's good looking. He's positive. He's humble. He's just charming. He's just so charming. And not that Nick Mullens isn't, but he's like the kind of guy that you would root for, like class president, or you just want him to be the face of everything, right? Yeah. He's terrific. But when I think about, here's the thing. You're right. He did go on that incredible. He went 13-3 last year in 2019. And Nick Mullens has never done that. But when I look, I still feel like kind of the stars aligned for Jimmy. And it's not just that he was great and healthy, but so was Debo. So was Kittle for the most part. So was Mostert. So were his weapons. And I think that really, this is how I feel. You don't have to feel this way. I'm in the minority here. But I feel like basically Jimmy Garoppolo and Nick Mullens are both as good as their weapons around them. And if you take weapons away, they struggle. If you take offensive linemen away, it affects them. And in 2019 was legendary for Jimmy Garoppolo. In 2020, starting with the playoffs up and through this year and the injuries and stuff, he's been pretty okay. Yeah. And, I think he's been kind of like Nick Mullens too. And to me, they both have excuses. Offensive line has let him down. Weapons have been in and out. It's been a crazy year. To me, there's so many reasons to be confident in this stretch run. And I can list them off. Robert Saleh, Kyle Shanahan, the best coaching staff in the NFC, Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Fred Warner, Richard Sherman, Jason. There's a lot of reasons to think that this team can go on a run. And I think when there's skepticism, it always comes back to little Nick Mullens and that little puffy face sticking out of that helmet. And you're like, there's no way this guy can. There's no way. There's no way he can do it. And I think it's kind of like, I don't know if it's cognitive dissonance or our eyes are playing tricks on us, but Niner fans look at Jimmy and see Jesus Christ. And they look at Nick Mullens and see like, I don't know what it is they see. They see like
the little version of in Space Jam, the little Monstars before they become the Monstars. That's what Nick Mullens is.
Yeah, like without the powers.
Yeah.
without the powers. It's like, I don't think it's gonna work, guys. I don't know. I mean, I think that's what it is. Okay, so it always comes back to Mullens. So I still go back to if he could just grow a beard, a big beard. I think Niner fans would like him more.
Get a tan, get some
or
nice
a tattoo.
Going on.
What if he gets a tattoo? A face tattoo right on his face.
Maybe not a face, maybe a neck one. We'll start small. We still want him to get a job down the road if this starting thing doesn't end up anything.
Hey, if he takes his team to the playoffs, someone's going to want him. I'm telling you, Niner fans can't stand Nick Mullens. And a lot of Niner fans can't stand Jimmy Garoppolo.
I know.
Niner fans have the highest. You're kind of new to the team in the sense of the last 10 years, but the 80s and 90s, the highest standard for quarterbacks, I don't think Niner fans will ever be really satisfied until it's never going to be sad. I mean, with Steve Young, they were like, you're just not as good as Joe, buddy. Sorry.
That's
okay, I have a bonus question for you, and you're not ready for this. So you haven't been prepped for this question. This is going to be an honest answer. Look, Nick Mullens is a backup quarterback who just beat the Rams. That's cool. If he leads this team to the playoffs, that would be more than cool. That would be pretty freaking cool. And my question would be, if he does lead this team to the playoffs, will you get a tattoo to commemorate?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I knew as soon as you were going down this road a little bit, I heard these words and I'm like, uh-oh, I know he's going the tattoo route. You know what? I'm the type, I have 9 tattoos. I am the type that if a tattoo signifies something meaningful to me in my life. So last year, it wasn't just the whole Jimmy Garoppolo, I love him, look at him, he's a babe, whatever. I'm going to get this feels great tattoo on me. I got the tattoo after the season. I got it after they lost in the Super Bowl. So that is true. And it has deep meaning. And if she wrote a whole 1,500 word essay, that was wonderful. She is a fantastic creative writer, by the way. Google it. It's really good. Thank you.
Anyway, keep going.
SpiderMan Jimmy, just a little plug.
SpiderMan Jimmy. Wasn't that your first one? That was your debut.
That was my debut.
You should be proud of that one. Yeah, keep going.
And so that tattoo just meant to me that what it meant to feel like to have a winning season and this incredible feeling to be a part of the fandom again. And I don't think I ever felt that as a 49ers fan, other than the Harbaugh goal year where, obviously that didn't end the way we wanted either. But last season, was the first season I actually felt alive following a team in any sport. And so that tattoo meant so much to me. And looking at this year, it's obviously very different. We're not going undefeated. We're not having, we're having that roller coaster season. We have somebody like Nick Mullens who has the potential to be this monster that we see, grow that beard, but he's this little shrivelly guy right now. And he gets out there. And yes, I think that look at what he did in last game. He had that final drive and he brought the guys down the field and he set up that goal for Robbie Gould. Robbie Gould could not have made that kick if it wasn't for Nick Mullens. So you have to give him some credit. It is there. And if that guy can get us to the Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl, the playoffs that potentially lead to the Super Bowl, and then maybe Jimmy gets back in, maybe not, I don't know. But if he can do that, hell yeah, I'm going to get a tattoo to commemorate it. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but we'll figure it out.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, look, you're a good sport. You don't have to, I'm not holding you to that, but if you feel inclined, go for it.
I will.
You don't have to.
I haven't gotten a tattoo in a year. It's about time.
All right, cool. All right, I have a couple more questions for you. As a fan, what experience was more enjoyable, last season or this season? Okay, so I know it's kind of like an obvious question.
I thought about this. Yeah. And I even kind of alluded to it a little bit in my last answer that I had for you. But as a fan, obviously looking at it on paper, last year was incredible. It's for somebody who thrives on good vibes and smiles and rainbows and happiness, that's who I am. I loved it because it just filled me with confidence. I didn't have those bad days because I was like, you know what, at least my team is doing well. And I leaned a lot on the team. And there's somebody, the team as a whole was something that kept me going through a lot of times in my life that were not the greatest. And so for them to excel.
It was a remedy for anxiety, not a source of anxiety.
Exactly. And it felt so great. It didn't add to the struggle of life already that we all are going through, especially this year. And so obviously in this moment right now, I'm going to say last year, but we were able to be we stuffed them every week. It was great. Aside from a couple weeks, but this year, there's something about being a fan this year and being able to get those wins that maybe don't look as pretty and to have, our backups out there sometimes, and to still pull off some wins and to have a better, record than some of the other teams in the NFL that people are saying that we should have had a better record than, but we do. And we're not the worst team in the NFL. You can't look at us and be like, oh, they're the Jets. because we're not. So I still think that this season, there's something about the losses that makes the win way more better. And so I'm enjoying this season just because it's showing me a different perspective, not only as being a fan, but also looking at it from a journalistic point of view. And I know we're going to get to that, but, you know, like last year, again, great. It was so great to be around my family, who's a Raiders fan, my dad, my uncle's a Falcons fan, my sister and my boyfriend, Patriots fans. So like to walk into that room at Christmas time, this time last year, and, you know, like be like, my team was the last undefeated team. That felt amazing. That felt great, baby. But there's something in that predictability that you get accustomed to winning that feels so good that eventually it gets boring, you know? And I don't think that this season's been boring at all. And I love living, you know, spontaneously and not knowing what's going to happen next. And so for that, I think this has been a better season.
And even beyond boring, I feel like a lot of these Niner fans have been so habituated to winning from last year that they can't enjoy, or not you, but a lot can't enjoy like the struggle of this season. Like if it's not easy, then just tank and start over and get a new quarterback. It's not supposed to be this hard. It's supposed to be easy like 2019.
Exactly.
So it's kind of spoiled, but I guess that's the way it goes. I remember when I was my first year as a fan was 1994. That was my first year remembering football, and they just destroyed everyone, won the Super Bowl. It was so easy. They won by like 1 million points in the Super Bowl. And I just thought that's how it was going to be every year. It's like, I love being a Niner fan. This is great. And then every year after that, I was like, they lost to the Packers? What are you talking about? It's not right. It's not supposed to be. So for me, I'm not a fan. And
but what changed then?
I used to be a fan, but once I started covering this team every day, I was in the locker room. And I mean, my dad was a journalist. I was preparing myself to detach myself emotionally since I was a kid. But as a non-fan who covers this team, I got to say I much prefer this season to last season. Much prefer this season. And last season was a lot of fun. I got into it, and going to the Super Bowl was an incredible experience. But there were some weeks there, like November, December, where like the Niners are so good, and they're like, there's nothing at stake. Like they're playing a team, you know they're gonna win. There's nothing that's going to happen in the standings. And it's like, I don't know how to create drama this week. And I like the drama.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. And I like the whole tension of this year of like, are they good? Are they not? Do they have it together? Oh, wait, they're rallying. Oh, they're going to blow it. Wait, don't count them out. I love that. I really do. And last year it was like, man, can we just fast forward to the Super Bowl? Because we all know where this is going. It's going to be them and the Chiefs in the fourth quarter. Let's see what happens. And it was epic. But I feel like there was a lot of like, kind of like, I don't know, like watching the Warriors last few years. It's like, all right, you guys are great. All right, let's get to the last game. This year, it's like every day is interesting. Are you going to have COVID cases today? What's going on? Like, who's going to play this week? So I love it. I love the intrigue. This is like, I always say my favorite thing to cover is an 8-8 team. This is why.
That's what it's trending towards, right? I know, it is fun. It is fun. We never know what to expect, right? And then you get on, like, I did that live post-game show after the game on the weekend, and like I had so much fun feeling something again because it had been a month of just nothing, of just like
numbing yourself to the pain.
Yeah, and so
numbing yourself. I expect you to lose. It's fine. I don't care anymore.
And then it felt like I was in Disneyland, you know, it felt like the best day ever. So
yes.
I think that in the losses, especially looking at it as a fan, take away the journalistic part, like in the losses, yeah, you're sad, you're whatever, you have a horrible week afterwards because people are ripping you apart on Twitter, whatever. But then you get those wins and it just is like, okay, what losses, right? Like it just feels so good. And I don't know, like as a journalist, looking at it as a journalistic point of view, I think what you said is so great though, because there's so much drama in it and that you get to like look at the reactions online to what people are saying about the team that literally the week before we're like, oh, praise Jimmy Garoppolo. And then they're like, get rid of him. Or, oh, we love Nick Mullens, get rid of him. And it's like, okay, you can't do this. You can't go through each week just praising the team when they win. You have to celebrate the losses too. And that's what bothers me. And that's why I'm like, no, like, you're not going to take this away from me. I'm still going to follow the team. But I'm going to judge them when they need to be judged. And that's the layer I've kind of learned from you, which has been great.
Okay, here's my final thing I want to ask you. I'm asking journalist Chrissy here.
Yes.
I know you felt like part of what you loved about last season was how happy the 49ers made you feel. And that's powerful. That's powerful. But this season, now you're a journalist. And the Niners are not just a source of happiness or sadness. You don't necessarily just watch a game to see if they win or lose and to determine your mood. They're now a source of raw material for your work, which is A+. And you do such a good job of taking things from games and relating it to your life and the past. You make really good connections. You really do take the raw material presented and make art out of it, which is the job. It's not just, hey, go 49ers. Hey, I want the Niners to win. So my question to you is, what's it like to have football be raw material now and not just entertainment?
So, okay, it was always my goal to write about this team ever since I was, started in this journey in journalism and everything. I wanted to be originally I wanted to be a crime writer. And then my dad was like, no, don't do that. And
like
so,
Elmore Leonard, like fiction crime or crime fiction or crime,
like a crime
reporter. Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah. Like covering,
cool.
Getting on the scene where there's like the caution tape and everything. And you're getting, some gory detail. Because I was always into like Dexter and stuff, and I was huge into like, the murder mystery stuff. And I thought it'd be really cool if I was that person, a little Detective Chrissy. But my dad was like, this is dangerous. Somebody could come after you if you put them in jail. And like, it just made me think of all the stuff that, as a female, I didn't want to have to think about. And I was like, okay, well, sports is a fun route. I can be my quirky little fun self. It's, for the most part, you're talking about wins. Like, little naive me had no idea. Anyways, last season I was attending broadcasting school and like I got to kind of report on my team, but I had to do it from a journalistic point of view as well. But again, I put my own bias into it. And so it wasn't the proper reporting that they were looking for. And it just wasn't what you should do as a reporter. And so I'm the type that I don't really analyze things fully just because of stats. And I know we've talked about this, but I look at it from an emotional point of view. And maybe that's the fan that creeps into my journalistic style, but that's probably what it is. So this year, something just like once I started writing about the team in a way that was, okay, they lost. I wrote that humble pie thing and I sent that to you. Mm-hmm. And before I was even writing for Sports Illustrated 49ers. And I had written that for the first time I wrote something about the Niners that wasn't this biased fan point of view. It was like I called these players out for not doing their job. And it's because I had been watching some of your stuff and I'm like, okay, this guy gets it, like he's doing his job phenomenally. He's talking about the players exactly the way that they're laying it out, the raw material that they're giving us. He's discussing it. He's tearing it apart. He's chewing on it and spitting it back out for us. Like we're picking through that, And I loved the way that you did that. And it made me see it in such a different light. And I kind of put my fandom away. Obviously it's still there. And like I
compartmentalize it. You compartmentalize it. Yeah.
But there's something about being able to look at what's going on and write about it just as it's happening, and add your emotion and whatnot into it. And it's just been so much more amazing having not an amazing year because it lets you explore this different side of yourself as a writer. And that's something I don't think I ever had before. And it's challenging. Don't get me wrong. It's been very challenging, but I love it. There's the rawness of not knowing. There's something in the unknown that is just beautiful, and I'm really enjoying it.
Let me tell you why I like it and why I think it's better than being a fan. Because if you're a fan, you're only happy when they win. And they win like half the time, basically. You know what I mean? So some of your days suck. They're really down. When you're not a fan and you're just looking at the game as raw material, you always win if you perform well. It's about you. Mm-hmm. And you can take a loss and make a column or an article that you're proud of. You won. You had a great day. And the Niners lost. Sorry, you're not on their team. You're not getting checks from them. They'll do better next week or they won't. When you're freed up like that and every day is an opportunity for you to perform and you get to perform in this way, covering this team, which you are passionate about anyway, every day is the best. It's so great. I don't know. I really like it.
Every day is just an empty canvas for you to paint.
Exactly.
And I love that. Exactly. And I love looking at the different storylines that are coming out of the team, not because they're winning, but because they're losing. And you get such different storylines and you have a different focus. And maybe you do hear about these stories. You get to interview a player like the long snapper and talk to him about how he got to where he is. And you're looking at the team differently because you're not just focusing on the wins, you're focusing on the heart. And that's what I really love about covering it as a journalist and looking at it, just as it's happening. And they're not wins and they're not pretty and whatever, but it's way more fun.
Also, I'm a know-it-all. And when teams win, I can't be a know-it-all. I basically have to be like, hey, Kyle, good job. Jimmy, good job. Yeah. I doubted you. But when they lose, it's like, okay, let me tell you why this happened.
But you're right a lot of the time.
It's my favorite. It's to me, football's really complicated. In baseball, it's like, well, this dude struck out with the bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth. Or this dude gave up a 3-run home run in the eighth. Well, let's go. I mean, it's obvious why a team loses. Or soccer, basketball. In football, it's like, I'm gonna have to check the tape.
Yeah.
It can be really, was it the left guard's fault or was it really the offensive coordinator's fault? I love that game. I freaking love it. But the problem is when a team gets to 3-13, it doesn't matter why they lost. The team, like fans just check out. So I'm kind of glad they beat the Rams. It's like if they had gone to 4-7 or whatever they were, it would have been bad.
Yeah.
You know, fans would have been like, I don't care. I don't want to watch your show anymore. I don't want to, let's just talk about quarterbacks in college. Like, nah, come on. We need you to keep us involved, Niners. You got to keep us in it.
Give us just enough that we can work with, you know?
It's like we're watching that like a show on Netflix and the protagonist is just like you know, I hate you. I can't watch you anymore. I'm done with you. But then like at the end of the episode, it's like, oh, you're kind of nice after all. I'm gonna keep watching you a little bit, you know, like what Michael Scott would do. He was just such a jerk.
Oh my God.
And then he would bring you out right at the end of the episode, like, oh, you know, okay. All right.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Michael Scott is the 49ers.
Basically, this is the Michael Scott season. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Fred Warner talks in 2 minutes. I have to run to that press conference, which means closing this and opening up Zoom.
Yeah.
Great 2020. You gotta love it. Chrissy, great stuff. Thank you so much for coming back. And we'll be back. You want to do it again next Thursday?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's do it. See you then.
Bye.